If you are over 60, there is something important you need to hear tonight. You may be doing everything you can to take care of yourself, eating a little better, trying to rest more, cutting back on salt, watching your sugar, and still your body may be giving you quiet signals that your kidneys are under more pressure than they should be. The hard part is this: kidneys usually do not begin with a dramatic warning. They do not always shout. Very often, they whisper. Maybe your rings feel tighter than they used to. Maybe your ankles look puffy in the evening. Maybe your energy seems lower for no clear reason. Maybe you wake up more often at night to use the bathroom. Maybe your blood pressure has been slowly climbing and you keep telling yourself, well, I'm just getting older. But what if that is not the whole story? What if your body has been trying to tell you, gently, patiently, that your kidneys need a little more support before a small problem becomes a much bigger one? Dr. Michael Hardee often reminds people of something they do not hear often enough. By the time kidney trouble becomes obvious, it may have been building in the background for a long time. That is why the earlier you start paying attention, the better. Now here is the encouraging part. There are several everyday fruits that may help support your kidneys naturally, especially when they are eaten the right way and in the right amount. These fruits may help the body handle oxidative stress, support healthier blood vessels, help with hydration, and reduce some of the extra strain that can wear the kidneys down over time. But this is where most people get it wrong. They drink the fruit instead of eating it whole. They choose sweetened, dried versions without thinking. They eat too much in one sitting. They skip washing the skin. They assume that if something is natural, more must be better. And that one habit can turn a helpful food into something your body has to work harder to manage. In this video, you are going to learn 5 fruits adults over 60 may want to keep in mind for nighttime kidney support, what makes each one helpful, how to choose them, and the common mistakes that can cancel out the benefit. And stay with me all the way to number 1 because it is one of the easiest fruits to find, one of the most refreshing to eat, and the part most people throw away may actually be one of the most interesting parts of all. Let's start with number 5, blueberries. They are small, they are soft, they do not look dramatic. But for many older adults, blueberries may be one of the smartest fruits to keep around if kidney health is on your mind. One reason is that blueberries are generally lower in sodium, phosphorus, and potassium than many people expect. That matters because when kidney function is not as strong as it once was, the body may not manage certain minerals as smoothly. So foods that place less stress on that balancing act can be very useful. Blueberries also contain deeply colored plant compounds called anthocyanins. Those are the natural pigments that give blueberries their rich blue-purple shade. But they are not only about color. These compounds have been studied for their antioxidant activity and for their potential role in helping the body deal with inflammation and cellular stress. Why does that matter for the kidneys? Because the kidneys are constantly filtering the blood. They are working hour after hour, day after day, with almost no break. When inflammation is higher and blood vessels are under stress, those delicate filtering units may have to work in a less favorable environment. Over time, that matters. Think of your kidneys like 2 careful cleaning systems that depend on steady, healthy circulation. If the blood vessels feeding them are not in good shape, the filters inside them may not be as protected as they should be. Blueberries are also often discussed in relation to urinary tract support. Some of their natural compounds may help make it more difficult for certain bacteria to cling where they should not. That does not mean blueberries treat infections. They do not. But when it comes to everyday support, they may have a place. Now here is the mistake people make with blueberries. They turn them into sugar. They pour them into dessert sauces. They bake them into heavy pastries. They buy blueberry products with more syrup than fruit. Or they blend them, strain out the good fiber, and drink them as a sweet liquid that moves through the body very differently than the whole fruit would. Whole blueberries are usually the better choice. Fresh is excellent. Frozen can also work well if there is no sugar added. The goal is simple: clean, whole fruit. And pay attention when you buy them. Choose berries that look deep in color and firm, not shriveled, pale, or leaking juice. That soft, dusty-looking coating you sometimes see on blueberries is normal. It often means the fruit is fresh. What you do not want are wet, mushy berries that are already breaking down. And wash them well. This is one of those details people skip because the fruit is small. But the skin is the part you are eating, and if you are going to eat the skin, it makes sense to rinse it properly. Dr. Michael Hardee recommends treating small habits with respect because over time, small habits are often what shape health the most. A modest handful of blueberries with breakfast, stirred into plain oatmeal, or eaten as a simple snack, can be a gentle, practical choice. You do not need a giant bowl. You do not need a fancy recipe. Sometimes the body benefits most from what is simple. Now let's go to number 4, apples. This fruit is so familiar that many people stop thinking about it. It becomes ordinary. But ordinary foods are sometimes the ones we underestimate most. For adults over 60, apples can be a very useful fruit because they are easy to find, easy to prepare, easy to chew for many people, and surprisingly supportive in several areas that connect back to kidney health. Like blueberries, apples are often considered a more kidney-friendly fruit option compared with many sweeter processed snacks because they are relatively moderate in the minerals many people with kidney concerns are told to watch. But the real strength of apples may be their fiber, especially pectin. Pectin is a soluble fiber, and soluble fiber can be helpful for digestion, blood sugar steadiness, and overall metabolic health. That may sound like a separate issue from your kidneys, but it really is not. When blood sugar stays too high too often, when body weight rises, when blood pressure is not well managed, the kidneys can gradually feel the consequences. So a fruit that supports better daily balance in those areas may also help reduce the long-term burden on the kidneys. In a simple way, fiber helps slow things down. It changes how quickly sugars are absorbed. It supports the gut. It helps the body process food with less chaos. And less chaos in the system often means less strain elsewhere. Apples also contain helpful plant compounds such as quercetin and chlorogenic acid, along with other antioxidants that may support the body's defenses against oxidative stress. Quercetin, in particular, is often discussed in connection with inflammation and blood vessel support. And blood vessels matter enormously here. Your kidneys are not floating in isolation. They rely on circulation. Anything that supports the system delivering blood to them may indirectly support how well they do their job. But here is the mistake so many people make with apples. They throw away the best part. They peel the skin off. Now, sometimes people do that because they are worried about texture. Sometimes they do it from habit. Sometimes they think the inside is the healthy part and the outside is just packaging. But in many cases, the skin carries a meaningful amount of the fiber and beneficial compounds people actually want. So if you are going to eat apples regularly, the skin may be worth keeping, as long as the apple is washed thoroughly. That part matters. If you eat the peel, clean the peel. Rinse it well. Rub the surface. If you prefer, soak and rinse. Or choose organic when possible. The point is not perfection. The point is not eating carelessly and calling it health. Another common mistake is replacing apples with apple juice. This happens all the time. People say, "I'm still having apple." But juice is not the same experience for the body. Once the fiber is gone, what remains can move much faster, spike sweetness much more quickly, and provide much less of what made the whole apple useful in the first place. Dried apples can also fool people. Because the water is removed, the sweetness becomes concentrated. It becomes easier to eat more than intended. Some brands also add extra sugar. That may not be ideal for someone trying to protect blood sugar, weight, or kidney health. When choosing apples, look for fruit that feels solid, not soft. The skin should look fresh and smooth, not wrinkled. A bright, healthy appearance usually tells you more than the name on the label. A washed whole apple, chewed slowly, can still be one of the smartest, simplest choices on the table. Now let's move to number 3, cranberries. Cranberries have had a strong reputation for years, especially when people talk about urinary tract health. And for good reason, they continue to attract attention. For older adults, the urinary tract deserves more respect than it often gets. A simple urinary issue can leave someone feeling drained, uncomfortable, foggy, and weak. In some cases, if problems are ignored, they can place extra pressure on the kidneys as well. Cranberries are interesting because they contain a group of natural compounds that have been studied for their ability to make it harder for certain bacteria to attach to the lining of the urinary tract. That is one reason people keep returning to cranberries when they think about prevention and support. Again, support is the key word. Cranberries are not antibiotics. They are not a cure for an active infection. If someone has burning with urination, fever, back pain, foul-smelling urine, or blood in the urine, they need proper medical attention. Fruit is not the answer to a situation that has already crossed into illness. But for everyday support, cranberries may still have value. They are also rich in antioxidants, including vitamin C and polyphenols, that may help the body respond to oxidative stress. And like some of the other fruits on this list, cranberries are often easier to fit into a kidney-conscious eating pattern than heavily processed sweet snacks. Now here is where people get misled. They buy cranberry cocktail. And cranberry cocktail is often more sugar than support. The label may sound healthy, the bottle may look clean and bright, but many of these drinks are loaded with added sugar, and sometimes people drink them every day thinking they are doing their kidneys a favor. That is not always the case. Too much sugar creates its own set of problems. Over time, that can affect weight, blood sugar, and metabolic health, all of which matter when kidney protection is the goal. A better option is fresh cranberries, frozen cranberries without added sugar, or a small amount used in a balanced way. They can be mixed into plain yogurt, simmered lightly into a less sweet topping, or blended carefully with other whole foods instead of being turned into a sugar-heavy drink. And be careful with dried cranberries. This is another trap. Because cranberries are naturally tart, many packaged dried versions are heavily sweetened to make them taste more pleasant. Then people snack on them by the handful the way they would candy, especially in the evening. That can add up very quickly. When buying fresh cranberries, look for berries that are firm, smooth, and richly colored. They should not look shriveled or sticky. A bright, healthy firmness is usually a good sign. What makes cranberries powerful in a viral script is not just their nutrition. It is the idea that they are familiar, trusted, and still often misunderstood. That combination creates curiosity. People think they already know cranberries, then stay to find out what they may have been getting wrong. Now let's go to number 2, grapes. Grapes are one of those fruits people can eat almost without noticing. They are easy to grab, easy to keep near the sofa, easy to keep popping into the mouth one after another until far more is gone than anyone intended. That is exactly why grapes deserve more attention than they usually get. On the helpful side, grapes contain a good amount of water, and hydration matters because the kidneys depend on fluid balance to do their work properly. When the body is reasonably hydrated, the process of waste removal is generally better supported. Of course, if someone has been told by their doctor to limit fluids because of kidney disease, heart failure, or fluid retention, that advice comes first. Not every healthy food fits every condition in the same way, but for many people, grapes may still be a reasonable fruit to enjoy in moderation. Darker grapes, especially red, purple, and black varieties, also contain resveratrol and other polyphenols that are often studied for their antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. These compounds may help support the health of cells and blood vessels, which again connects back to the environment the kidneys depend on. Grapes also provide other natural plant nutrients that may help protect the body from oxidative stress, and that matters more than many people realize. A body under constant oxidative pressure may age harder and recover more slowly. So yes, grapes can be more than just a sweet snack. But here comes the mistake. portion control disappears. No one says, "I'm going to eat a lot of grapes tonight." It just happens. The bowl sits nearby, the television is on, the conversation is going, and before long, a moderate serving has quietly turned into far more sugar than expected. That matters if blood sugar is a concern. It matters if weight management is a concern. It matters if someone assumes fruit can be unlimited simply because it is natural. Fresh grapes are not the same as raisins either. Once grapes are dried, the water is gone and the sweetness becomes concentrated. Raisins can be useful in small amounts for some people, but they are easier to overeat. The same warning goes for grape juice, grape jelly, and heavily sweetened grape spreads. Those products often carry the name of the fruit without delivering the same balance as the fruit itself. And then there is the washing. Please do not skip the washing. Grapes are one of those fruits people love to eat straight from the bag. But that outer skin is exactly what you are putting in your mouth. Rinse them well. Separate them. Wash what you plan to eat. A little patience before eating can be kinder to your body than speed. When choosing grapes, look for bunches with firm fruit and stems that still appear reasonably green and flexible. If the grapes are wrinkled or falling off easily, they are likely past their best. Since grapes do not improve much after picking, what you buy is largely what you get. And yes, some grapes have seeds. Many people avoid them. Some people do not mind them. The seeds contain natural compounds too, but that does not mean everyone needs to start taking grapeseed products. Dr. Michael Hardee would tell you to be especially cautious with supplements if you are taking prescription medications, especially blood thinners. Food first. Advice first, then decisions. With grapes, the message is very simple. Choose fresh, wash well, eat mindfully, stop before moderation turns into autopilot. And now we come to number 1, watermelon. This is the fruit many people think of as fun, casual, and seasonal. They think of picnics, summer afternoons, and cold slices on a hot day. They do not usually think of kidneys. Maybe they should. Watermelon can be surprisingly helpful for older adults because one of its biggest strengths is something simple and easy to overlook: water. As people age, thirst signals are not always as strong as they once were. Some adults go through large parts of the day mildly underhydrated without realizing it. They are not intentionally avoiding fluids. They simply do not feel the same urge to drink. That can affect energy, comfort, and the way the body manages waste. Watermelon offers gentle hydration through food, and for some people, that can be easier than trying to force down glass after glass of plain water. Watermelon is also often considered lower in oxalates than a number of other foods, which is one reason it may appeal to people who are thinking about certain types of kidney stones. It is not a cure, and not every stone is the same, but it can be a gentler option in that discussion. Then there is its color. That rich red flesh contains lycopene, a well-known antioxidant also found in tomatoes. Lycopene is often studied for its connection to cellular protection and the body's response to oxidative stress. Since oxidative stress is part of the conversation around aging and organ strain, that makes watermelon more interesting than many people realize. Watermelon also contains citrulline, a natural amino acid involved in processes connected to circulation. Better support for blood vessel function may matter because the kidneys depend on consistent blood flow to filter effectively. So, no, watermelon is not just sweet water. It is more useful than that. But the mistake people make with watermelon is one of the biggest on this list. They eat far too much at one time. A huge bowl late at night may sound harmless, but watermelon contains a lot of water. For some people, especially older adults who already wake up often during the night, that can mean even more trips to the bathroom. If someone is trying to sleep better, that matters. Also, because watermelon tastes so light and refreshing, people sometimes forget that large portions still count. If blood sugar control is important, eating too much at once is not ideal. The smarter approach is moderate. a reasonable serving, not the entire container. And here's a detail many people never think about. Wash the outside before you cut it. That rind may have dirt, bacteria, or residues on the surface. The knife goes from the outside straight into the flesh you are about to eat. If the outside is dirty, the inside can be contaminated in seconds. This is such a simple step, but it is one of the most overlooked. When choosing a watermelon, look for one that feels heavy for its size. A creamy yellow patch on the underside can be a sign it ripened naturally on the ground. Avoid deep damage, soft collapsing areas, or obvious cracks. And now for the part many people throw away too quickly. The pale area near the rind and even the seeds have attracted attention for their own compounds. That does not mean you need to chew through a mountain of rind. It does not mean you need to become extreme. It simply means the fruit may offer more than the red center alone. Sometimes health is not about doing something dramatic. Sometimes it is about seeing something ordinary more clearly. So now you have the 5 fruits: blueberries, apples, cranberries, grapes, watermelon. And if you notice, they share several themes. They offer antioxidants. They can fit into a more balanced eating pattern. Some help with hydration. Some support the urinary tract. Some offer fiber. Some may help the body handle inflammation and oxidative stress more gracefully. But there is something even more important they share. None of them work like magic. That matters to say clearly, especially in a world where people want quick fixes. No fruit can erase years of strain overnight. No fruit can replace medical care. No fruit should be used as an excuse to ignore symptoms that need attention. If you have chronic kidney disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, swelling, heart failure, or if your doctor has told you to watch your potassium, creatinine, or eGFR, then your situation is personal. Your body may need a more specific plan. That is where proper medical guidance matters. Dr. Michael Hardee would be the first to say that wise nutrition is not about hearing one sentence online and changing everything by tomorrow morning. It is about paying attention, choosing carefully, and matching good advice to your real condition. Still, small choices do matter, very much. Kidney trouble often does not arrive because of one giant mistake. It grows from repeated pressure. Too much salt again and again. Too much sugar again and again. Too many processed foods. Too little movement. Too little sleep. Too little awareness. And support can grow the same way. One better breakfast. One piece of whole fruit instead of a sugary drink. One moment spent washing produce instead of eating carelessly. One smaller portion at night. One overdue conversation with your doctor. One choice repeated long enough to become a habit your body can actually benefit from. That is why I do not want this message to leave you with fear. I want it to leave you with awareness. Awareness that fatigue is not always just age. Awareness that swollen feet deserve attention. Awareness that rising blood pressure has a cost. Awareness that waking again and again through the night is worth noticing. Awareness that your kidneys may stay quiet for a long time, even while they are asking for help in the only ways they can. And awareness that your next meal is not meaningless. You do not need to become perfect. You do not need to panic. You do not need to clean out your kitchen tonight and start a complicated health plan by sunrise. But you can do one better thing. You can choose whole fruit over juice. You can stop peeling away the most nourishing part. You can think twice before treating dried fruit like candy. You can eat a moderate amount instead of assuming healthy means unlimited. You can wash what needs washing. You can listen to what your body has been trying to say, because your body is still working hard for you, even now. Even after all the years, even after the stress, the late nights, the worries, the medications, the responsibilities, the changes, the seasons of life, your body is still trying, and your kidneys are still showing up every day, filtering, balancing, adjusting, doing quiet work you almost never notice until something begins to go wrong. So be a little gentler with them, respect them a little more, support them before they are forced to complain. And before we finish, think about this for a moment. Which of these fruits do you already eat most often? Is it blueberries? Is it apples? Is it cranberries? Is it grapes? Or is it watermelon? And more importantly, after hearing this, will you keep eating them the same way you always have? Or will tonight be the moment you choose a little more wisely? Maybe that means a small bowl of fresh fruit instead of a bottled drink. Maybe it means washing your apples properly and keeping the skin on. Maybe it means putting back the sweetened dried fruit and choosing the real thing. Maybe it means eating a sensible portion instead of turning a healthy snack into too much of a good thing. Sometimes the body does not need something extreme. Sometimes it needs consistency. Sometimes it needs you to slow down long enough to ask, is this actually helping me? That question alone can change a lot. And if this message helped you, share it with someone over 60 who may need to hear it. A spouse, a brother, a sister, a friend. Someone who has been brushing off tiredness, swelling, blood pressure changes, or nighttime bathroom trips as if they mean nothing. Because catching a problem early is always easier than trying to undo it late. And if you take medication, if you are on fluid restrictions, if you have a diagnosis involving your kidneys, heart, or blood sugar, let this be your reminder to speak with your healthcare professional before making major changes. That is not a weak step. That is the wise step. The goal is not fear. The goal is not trends. The goal is not chasing miracle cures. The goal is to care for your body with more understanding than you did yesterday. One meal, one habit, one decision at a time. Your kidneys do not ask for applause. They just keep working, quietly, faithfully, all day, all night. So tonight, give them something a little kinder to work with.